Greetings. Welcome to the Mid-Missouri Kayak and Weather Report for September 2024. At 1:10 in the afternoon on Wednesday, September 11th, the temperature is 85 degrees with a predicted high of 88. We've had mid-70s the past few days, and I could have got out except that I was busy doing other things. And then I could have got out this morning because the temperature today didn't reach 70 degrees until 11 o'clock. And I could have gone out this morning. If I'd gone out at 8 or 9, I would have beat this heat. But I didn't, and that's just the price I pay. I had a poem that was calling to me, so I stuck around and I wrote it. And then I came out and kayaked. Yeah, we've had temperatures in the 70s last week up until today practically, and then we'll have mid to high 80s for the next roughly 10 days, except this Friday when it's going to be mid 70s, but it's going to be cloudy from now on for the next 8 or 10 days. The first chance of rain looks like to be maybe next Wednesday. Yeah. I have seen, I'm on Binder Lake, and I'm surrounded by lily pads, not behind me, but in front of me. And I have seen, I haven't seen many lily flowers. They're getting pretty sparse. It's getting to be late in the season. But I've seen more than a handful of turtles just sunning themselves, taking advantage of this summer heat before it's gone. And there was a pair of cormorants. One of them was sitting on a stump coming up out of the water that had its wings spread because they're diving birds and it was drying out. Let me get close enough to get a photo, and then it took off and went somewhere and did some diving, I guess. I've seen 3 or 4 white swans, same number of swallows, 1 great blue heron, the turtles, and 2 egrets. Now, this is late in the summer. Last summer, I would see them quite often, 2 or 3 of them at a time. And today, I saw one. Finally, I saw one landing in a tree across the lake as I was watching another one. And it let me get fairly close, so I got some decent photos of that. And I think I even have a photo of it taking off. So that should be pretty cool. As I entered this cove, if you look behind me, maybe if I turn, there. You see, there's trees growing in here. Well, it's not growing, it's dead. There's a flooded valley. There's a dam that way. And a lot of dead trees. A lot of them are cedar. I don't think that one is. That one's not. But there are also some that just are broken off. They've fallen over or whatever. They cut them off and they're like a foot above the water. Some are just at the water's surface, and there was one just below the surface that I didn't see just before I came into this cove. And I went right up on it, and I wasn't going very fast, so that I stopped. This is a 10-foot kayak, and I probably stopped about 4 or 5 feet into it. So I was sitting on it, and I had to rock, and I had to rock, and I had to rock just to get back off of it. And then once I got next to it, I got a look at it. And it was a hollow tree stump, and just at the water surface, and the hollow had a slit in it, so it was almost like a V, and yeah, the hull of my kayak went right into it, which made it so hard to get off of. Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, I think that's it for here. I was supposed to read on Sunday at Spine Bookstore and Cafe, Spine Indie Bookstore, but there was a scheduling conflict, so that's been moved to the 22nd, which is still a Sunday. And on the 17th, I'm reading down in Rolla at Poetry at the Pub. So, yeah. And I can feel the wind blowing into me. It's probably blowing into that. I'm recording on my old phone, and I'm using my other phone to record just in case I need to grab the audio from it. You didn't need to know that, did you? Okay, so that's all about the spoken word, I guess. Oh yeah, I've talked in the past about being out of breath lately again. I had problems 3-4 years ago with anemia, and that was taken care of. But now, as it turns out, I had a stress test done, which showed that, no, it wasn't my heart. No blockage to worry about there. But I had a pulmonary function test, and that showed that I have minor blockage, bronchial blockage. I have COPD. Yeah. Never been a smoker. No. I've worked in dusty environments. I worked in a cabinet factory. We made TV cabinets and stereo cabinets, and sometimes they were solid wood or veneer. Sometimes they were sprayed and a grain was printed on them, like what you're quite often used to seeing. So there was a spray booth for that. There was a lacquer spray booth, and there was another spray booth all within 50 feet of me. And plus, I was sanding those cabinets between coats. So yeah, it was a dusty environment. And then I worked on a loading dock for years. And those tow motor tires, those forklift tires, they just throw off black dust. You know, the wheels spin, and yeah, dusty environment. So I'm guessing that's the cause of it. So anyway, the doctor prescribed an inhaler, 2 puffs a day, and it's not take it as needed, it's take it twice in the morning every day. And so once I found out how expensive it was, I called up and said, hey, can't you come up with some least expensive alternative? No, that's it. And it's non-generic. And it'll run close to $3,000 a year. It's a tier 4, so they'll pay for half and I'll pay for half. So I am thankful that the American Care Act in January sets a $2,000 prescription limit for seniors. So I will take advantage of that if I decide to continue it. I can't be sure that it's working. I need to do it for a few weeks, I think, to find a rhythm. I mean, there's been a day where I had to skip because it was too late in the day when I remembered. And you can't take it twice within 24 hours. But anyway, I was for sure that it was working, you know, and I thought I was noticing a difference. But then there's some days when it doesn't, you know, just rushing back from where I parked the truck down to the kayak and lowering myself in. I was out of breath. You know? So, yeah, I have to decide. But in the meantime, I have bit the bullet and I'm getting that prescription. So, and then the other bit of news. My Maverick was rear-ended last week. Yep. 2 miles an hour, maybe. I was sitting at a traffic light. There was 2 or 3 cars ahead of me and a big truck behind me. And the one just ahead of me was an SUV. The light changed. It pulled forward. It went about 10 feet and stopped. Well, I took my foot off the brake, but then I hit the brake real quick, and I stopped within 7 feet of it. The guy behind me took his foot off the brake and didn't stop. And it was a big truck. It was a Chevy Silverado 3500. It's like a Ford 350. It's like a heavy-duty truck. And it's got tow hooks in the front bumper. And they're spaced out in such a way that he hit me square on. I can't believe it. He hit me square on. And it's about 6 inches from either inside edge of my bumper where it drops down for the tailgate. And bam, and those hooks hit right at the upper edge of the bumper, and in about 2 inches, both of them. And then his license plate, his truck itself wasn't damaged, but his license plate bracket, the plate hung down into his bumper where there's a gap, and so that gap went into my bumper, and his license plate frame hit my tailgate and caved it in. There's a little bit of white paint there too. So the guy was real nice about it. It was a business, but the guy was really nice about it. He was the owner. He says, here's my information. I don't know what happened. I guess I looked up and looked down. So anyway, just within a mile of there was a collision shop that I've been to that I know. I had them do, when my truck was keyed. So I went there and I said, hey, I want to know if I can drive this or if I should drive it, because these things are known for being totaled they're unibody, there's no frame, and that rail, that unibody rail will crumple and collapse. He goes, well, let's take a look. He says, nope, there's nothing underneath there that would say that you can't drive this, even if you want to drive St. Louis, which I was planning on doing, but didn't. Yeah. So before going home and reporting it online to the insurance company, I contacted my agent. I went to bring two of them, and they said, hey, you know what, think about checking to see if his insurance company looks up liability. So it was right down the street. I went down there, and he'd already called and given them the information. She says, when we get his accident report, we'll determine liability, but he already told me what happened, so you should hear within 24 hours. Well, it was 2 days, but I heard from them. They accept liability, and I'll get a rental car. And meanwhile, the shop said, you know, they're going to schedule you. And he says, I'm 2 weeks out, so how about if I just schedule you? It'll be he was 3 weeks out. It was the 23rd. So on the 23rd, I will get my truck fixed. It'll be overnight at least, I think. And so I got a rental. But yeah, Maverick got rear-ended. All right, that's enough excitement for one day. I am going to paddle the rest of the way around the lake and get out and cool off. This has been your Mid-Missouri Kayak and Weather Report for September 2024. Ciao, folks, and vlog on.